Hello and welcome to episode 7 of my Harbinger developer commentary. Today we're going to be taking on the pink wall area. Off camera I have again forgotten to get blocks, but one day I will remember, I promise. That's my promise to you, my viewers. Right, let's just take a stack of wood and let's go. I did make torches this time though, so I'm making progress. And I'm going to drink this potion of swiftness. And I also repaired up this lumberjack's hatchet, so we should have a better sword now than our stone one. And you actually need... Oh. You actually need blocks for this area. I don't know where he spawned from, which is a bit worrying. It seems to be there. I don't know what... I'm lagging a bit. Sorry about this. Yeah, no, still on 6 chunks. I probably just need to restart my computer, but hey, I'll get to that later. This is sort of styled on one of the, basically a sort of throwback to some older CTMs, I think, where you sort of have to fight up these 3x3 hallways. And there's not a huge reason for doing that, but, you know, I'd quite like to pay homage, would maybe be a generous way to put it, to older maps and maps that kind of got me into CTM. But, you know, doing 2 creeper falling traps in 2 areas is maybe too many. Right, let's come up here. Yeah, and then this area, I am actually going to use my stone sword more than my axe because it has knockback. But I also need to heal up a bit. Let's get rid of you first. Yeah, so sorry, I haven't started this episode off particularly fluidly, but hopefully I'll kind of warm up a bit as we keep going. And this area I built before Magenta. Someone commented that it was like having the same style of gameplay as Magenta, and I guess that is true in that you've got high up platforms above a lake, but I think visually it's quite different. This is a much smaller part of the area as well. It's entirely optional. You can avoid most of it. There's a bonus enchanting table there just in case someone managed to lose theirs from earlier in the map. Right, let's come down here. That was unfortunate. I was trying to run back and check that chest, but I guess here I will demonstrate that it is entirely optional to do that top area. And we do have more skeletal lumberjacks as well, who will kill me if he hits me. Let's just light this one up because skeletal lumberjacks, yeah, they drop these axes quite often, and these axes are pretty good. If you combine a couple of them, you can immediately get a sharpness 3, unbreaking 2 iron axe, so they are worth keeping around if possible, and some nice fishing rods for you as well. Yeah, so the path above is probably easier than the path below, I have to say. And now that we are away from that, let's switch back to the lumberjack's hatchet. Yeah, so this area, again, it kind of changed forms quite a lot. Initially, it was just a big cave with the castle at the back, and gradually over time I added a few different things like this bridge, which I think gives some character, and all the trees to make the forest, reusing the idea of the ice trees from Yellow, and that's one of the nice things about doing intersections in this way, where you have a theme for the intersection, is that you get to, let's do that, you get to sort of, if you have an idea that you think's good, you don't just have to abandon it every time. You can use it for, you can get a little bit more. So I really like these trees, and I wanted to find more use for the idea of using ice trees to fill an area, and yeah, I didn't think I'd done everything I could with it in Yellow, and I think having this ice forest is quite a good way to get some more mileage out of the idea. There we go. Thankfully brought plenty of torches this time, and not enough food. Oh, one day I will prepare properly. Well, let's break you, and then I don't have enough food to do the rest of the area really, but I do know that I can swim back up to the top. Yeah, so there's a few distinct bits to this area. Firstly, it's the lake, which we're going to explore now, and then there's a castle that we couldn't see because my render distance is quite low at the moment, but on the other side of the cave there is a castle as well, and then there's also the forest, and in the forest there are some caves. I do not have a rebreather on me, and that is going to end up killing me. Let me out. I thought there was bubble columns. I must have got rid of those. Thankfully, the post-combat update regen is very powerful, and there is a rebreather here, just in case you didn't bring one with you. But it looks like I'm down to rotten flesh as my only food source. Oh well, let's make it work and just not get hit. Easy. Yeah, there are some bull columns, but I reduced them because they do so much to kind of completely nerf the drowns, because they just get yeah, you kind of saw that happen to one of them. They don't avoid the bubble columns when they're swimming, and they just instead get absolutely shot up from them. There's no guardians in this water area though, so we managed to get through it pretty easily. And now we have Beldroth's Blade 2. I actually don't know if it's any better than using the lumberjack axes, but still. I'm trying to make sure I don't suffocate on my way out. Yeah, I think the lumberjack axes are probably better, especially if you combine two of them together, but basically I prefer having the sword. The faster attack speed against like multiple mobs makes it better, I think, even if the actual damage is not up to snuff. Yeah, and I think these walkways look cool from down here, and the way they kind of interlock. I like this. I'm kind of quite taken by the ideas of in Starlight, where they use, and this is a different but related thing in Starlight, where they do the end rods to represent like the night sky, and in Corona Trials, where in Aurora Valley there's in order to kind of simulate the Aurora Borealis, in order to simulate that was not a very warm welcome from a creeper there. To simulate that, render put basically glass everywhere. I'm gonna die if I stay here. This is a bad place. I've decided that. I would stop recording, but I think I may well die. So I guess I will stay until I'm at least somewhere safe-ish. Let's take that, sure. Right, I'm safe here, I think, so I'm going to head back to the intersection and I'll be with you in just a second. Yeah, so got some more bread and ready to go again. Hopefully this time we actually make it all the way across these platforms, but you never know. Let's come. Doing my best to fall off immediately. Yeah, so if we come over here, we should just be able to break that spawn out. And there's a chest here with some leather and cookies in. And bookcases. So these are the reward for coming up here. So there are, I think, 2 bookcases on this section. That's just some paintings. Yeah, there's 2 bookcases. The other one's there. Let's just sprint over here and get rid of you. Which takes it to 5 in total for the intersection. And there's no reads up in the map up till this point, so you're still limited on the max level enchant you can do. You're limited on that until actually the final intersection is the only time you get infinite reads and stuff. Which I think is quite a nice way to limit without completely cutting off high-end enchants, because with anvils you can obviously grind and make basically any gear that you want. If you've got an anvil, it's very hard to balance around an anvil, so I just decided not to, and instead of trying to make sure that people didn't get anvils, I kind of took the opinion that I wanted high-level gear to be accessible to people who needed to access it. So as a kind of natural way of having people choose the difficulty for themselves, is if they want to make the map really easy by giving themselves protection 4 gear and sharpness 5 axes and everything around that, then I actually don't have too much of an issue with that, to be honest. That I'm more than happy for people to invest the time to make the map trivial if they wish to, as long as it's not kind of something that you do by accident. If you go out of your way to farm up gear and everything, then I don't mind too much about you getting access to that gear. And I think people having an option to grind away to make the map easier for themselves is good in my mind. I like that. This was another area which had too many creepers in, which is a bit of a theme of the map, but I just think zombies are quite boring mobs to fight. Yeah, but these caves areas are again optional, as is much of the map. Right, let's switch that for that. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? I think. Oh, how did I miss that? Nightmare. Had it lined up for so long. I probably should have broken that spawner, because, yeah, someone else is going to spawn. But, you know, I was enjoying watching the deathmatch between, the filthy deathmatch between those 2 skeletons. Yeah, use the creeper to blow up the spawner. Tactical. I'm very good at this game, I promise. Right. Ooh. Yeah, so it's basically, I mean, it's similar to a vanilla cave system. There isn't too much to it, especially because I reduced the number of mobs and everything. But the reason to come down here is to grab this next level armor. So we get some new boots. Our chestplate's pretty much done, so I guess we'll take that. The rebreather we'll get rid of as well. And we do have Aqua Affinity and Respiration. So I'll keep the Protection 2 Iron Leggings, but yeah, I've replaced everything else. And let's get rid of some of this junk. I think that's actually all of the junk in my inventory. That's as tidy as I can be. Right. So let's head back up to the top. We'll go up the dark path. There are 3 entrances to these caves, just to kind of increase the chance of you finding them, and they all sort of link up here, down at the bottom where the armor set is. Yeah, so one goes up that way. I'm not going to explore all 3 just because it feels like a waste of time, but suffice to say that one comes up that way and the other one is here, obviously. Let's break that spawner. I kind of like the feel of spiders, as in, I think they're slightly creepier than zombies, and maybe that's just me, but they're not hugely dangerous, but they just offer a slightly different challenge to zombies. And even just playing vanilla Minecraft, you end up coming up against quite big groups of zombies all at once, which doesn't really happen with regular spiders either. And I think everything that makes it feel a little bit more alien than vanilla Minecraft just kind of adds to the vibe of a map often. And people have different feelings on that. I guess the argument against that sort of idea is that, well, it gets pretty alien when people use loads of command blocks, and often talking to kind of non-CTM players and not people who don't play CTMs a lot, there's often, or people who used to play CTMs and don't, one of the things they kind of cite about modern CTMs is the use of command blocks and not feeling like the vanilla game. So there's a balance to be struck there, probably. But yeah, for me, I think generally things that add another dimension are good, which probably shouldn't be hugely controversial, but there we go. Right, let's... I've only just cleared out all the junk, but let's do it again. And let's head to the castle, which was another thing that I rebuilt from... I don't know if this was in the... I think I rebuilt it before 1.1. I think this was a 1.0 change. But in the original beta, the castle all kind of went with this scheme of the outside, so white and snow and packed ice and acacia and nether brick, which I actually think those things work reasonably well together. Particularly, I think the packed ice, the blue and the orange of the packed ice and the acacia kind of blend pretty well. Let's just do that. I'm just making those holes for there to be space for the ice to run into. Let's just retreat though. Yeah, so that this does this rather than spreading out everywhere. Right. Let's get rid of you as well, because I don't really want to come out to that and have that activate as I'm leaving. Although spoiler, not well. I guess I am going to have to go back to the intersection because I left all my shulker boxes not in an ender chest. But we are about to be reaching the monument area, which is the other thing that's in this. And I know we've already found the monument. If you're slightly confused by that, I guess we'll see. But yeah. Yeah, so I kind of switched to using these acacia logs rather than just the planks, and put in these trees just to add, because otherwise this courtyard was a bit empty, and put in these towers as well. This was something that I wanted to do to add some kind of more verticality to the castle, because I ended up just deleting the castle and completely rebuilding it with this big wall here. So if you go down there, that is the wool dungeon, so we'll get to that probably first, I imagine, but I do want to clear out this above ground area first. And then we'll end the episode by going to the next area. Having a bow that two-shot kills stuff is very handy. There we go. Get review. Get rid of you. And not having natural spawns on makes areas like this just a lot easier. Because spawners, yeah, once you trigger them and the mob either despawns or you kill it, they often don't offer that much challenge, especially if you use the default spawner values. So a normal spawner will spawn something between 200 and 800 ticks, which are the values that I used in this map. I think in future I would change that, so instead of having such a big range, I can't actually remember exactly what that equates to in seconds, but I think it's something like between 10 and 40 seconds. I think setting them to be between 15 and 25 or 20 and 30 or something is a better way of doing it. I forgot I put these doors in. Yeah, people really don't like this dungeon, or didn't in the 1.1 beta, because I re-beta tested it when I was updating the map, and people don't like being claustrophobic, and seem to think that, well, some of the feedback seemed to be like, seem not to realise that it was very deliberate that this is so claustrophobic. Like, the aim of this dungeon was to make you feel claustrophobic. However, I did end up raising the ceiling because it's one of the weaker dungeons design-wise. I think it's definitely one of the ones I made earlier on in the map's development and didn't seriously overhaul at any point. Aesthetically, I made it diorite rather than just snow, so I guess there is that. But it is basically just a zombie horde with some stronger guard mobs as well. I sort of just want to get far enough down that I can place a torch, but I guess that's not really happening, so... Right, let's eat up once again and try and get a bit more of a foothold on this dungeon. Yeah, so again, having the two high ceilings does make it feel a lot more claustrophobic, and that sort of was my intention, but because of the way these zombies work when you can't knock them back, I just decided to raise the roof a bit, and yeah, so I think that was a good decision, even though, like, it was definitely my plan to make the dungeon claustrophobic, but still, sometimes plans aren't good, and I think this is a case where it wasn't a good plan. And that's fine. I mean, that is the point of testing, I suppose, and getting feedback and everything. And so these cells, I think some of them have creeper spawners in, so I'm just going to do that. Block off that as well. It's pretty much identical on the other side, so there's not too much point going through both sides particularly. Okay. Well, we've managed to make it this far, and this also gives us an infinite source of iron swords, which won't be something we'll need for very long. Spoiler, but still a nice thing to have. Yeah, my basic idea with this dungeon was that people don't like too high hallways, and they make them feel bad. And people didn't like too high hallways, so, you know, this maze, I used to remember how to get through it perfectly. I no longer remember that. But let's see. Oh no, I was so close. But I think we are... I mean, I don't want to say I think we're on the right track, because then I will immediately be proven wrong, as shown. So... yeah, some of these blocks are silverfish blocks. So you have to be a bit careful about tunneling into them. As you can see. Because you can quite easily generate a silverfish apocalypse. But I do have a Bane of Arthropods 5 sword with me, thankfully. This is bad. I'm dead, I'm just so dead. I could have got away there. That's the wool. I didn't take on that maze very sensibly. I thought I remembered the way, and I did not, and therefore we died. So, part of the reason I became a bit panicked kind of just before the death there was, so I made dinner for myself earlier this evening, and is this the way we came? Yeah, I made dinner for myself earlier this evening, and I made a lovely kind of pasta thing, and very nice, would recommend. Just sort of chucked a load of veg in, and I used chilies, so I was chopping chilies, and just before my death there, I rubbed my eyes, because it's getting a little bit late, and I was a bit tired, and when I rubbed my eye, I became suddenly in a lot of pain, because I rubbed chili into my eye, and so not only was I panicking because there were mobs approaching, but I was panicking because I could only really see out of one side of my eye, and the other one was causing me... my other eye was causing me a lot of pain. So, yeah. I don't know what the moral of the story is, but it's not good. No matter what it is. Right, let's get rid of you quickly. I only have a knockback 2 sword, so... nothing amazing, but... yeah. We managed to get back here pretty easily. Please don't kill me. I could have brought a chest or a shulker box or any number of things that would make this easier, and instead I did not. And instead we have lost our items from an exploding creeper. Excellent. Right, let's deal with the source of the creepers first. And here we have the wool. What did we manage to keep? Any boots? Any better boots than just straight chain? Right, so... do I want to keep the rebreather? No, I think there's more of them, and I already have one. Anything else I want to get rid of? Not the lapis. The bones I can... well, the bones might be useful, actually. Let's get rid of 2 cobblestone. I also need to free up some space for a wool that we're going to carry back. For some reason has 3 layers of glass rather than... well, 4 layers of glass rather than none. But yeah, so there is pink wool. So, yeah, there's our second death. Not how I particularly wanted to go, but hey, if I'm going to be a fool and rub chilies in my eye, then that's quite a likely outcome, I suppose. Right, let's work our way back here. I can hear the husks, but hopefully I don't have to see any of them. Spawners in an area like this. This used to be entirely silverfish, but because of the change where any silverfish block you punch just immediately breaks, I had to change that slightly because I was accidentally spawning in silverfish just by like trying to break a spawner or doing anything, and I don't think that's hugely fun. There's probably something behind one of these paintings, and I can't remember which one, so I'm not even going to look. Yeah, I can see why people don't like this dungeon. It's definitely not my favourite, and I wouldn't defend it particularly aggressively, but, you know, this area is all quite ye olde CTM-y, if that makes sense. It's quite old style, and old style maps were quite frustrating, which is something that seems to get forgotten sometimes. I should definitely switch this to this, so at least we have some fire aspect doing some dot damage. Right, there we go. And I should kill that skeleton, because otherwise, if I get knocked down, it will be the death of me, but instead I'm just going to play Ring-a-Ring-a-Rosy with some strays. But we do finally get a shulker box, so I can dump off some things, which is nice. Right, let's keep the pink wool, get rid of you, and keep the lumberjack's hatchet and make it our primary weapon again. Beldroth's blade's already taken quite a lot of durability damage, but I think we should be fine with the hatchet for the rest of this area at least. Or better still, the spider slayer, if I can actually manage to get an angle to knock them off, which I can't. And kind of constantly seeing creepers drop lower and lower. I quite like using glowing creepers inside towers and stuff when I want to have creepers dropping on the player's head, but I don't want it to feel overly cheap. Not that there's a huge amount you can do against creepers dropping on your head, but at least if you know they're there, you have a chance to do something. That was very nasty of you, Mr. Creeper. Why am I even trying to use the single ladder? I don't know. Right, let's get rid of you. Light up here. And because stuff will be spawning, I'm going to just run. I am very much in a bad place. This is a bad place. And I'm dead again. Yeah. Oh, those skeletons are dreadful. They do far too much damage. That's just me playing reckless. I could have avoided that death very easily, but I didn't. Right, here we go again. Back with unenchanted armor and stone tools. But hopefully we can make it to the top of the tower. I think everything's lit up, so if everything's despawned, we should be fine, and it should have by now, so yeah. Yeah, I was just playing a bit reckless, letting the tower get as blown up as it did, and getting backed into that corner and then trying to run out rather than pillar up or doing something. Anything would have been smarter than what I did. Yeah, I sort of find that one death often leads to another in CTM maps, or just in any game really. It's quite common that you make one mistake and then you let it affect how you're playing. But hopefully we can just grab everything. And my inventory wasn't overly clogged because I did fill up the shulker box before that. Did anything drop down? I feel like it probably did. I mean, I can see that sword. How did that... I mean, a sword getting that far is pretty impressive. Fair play. Right. Because swords are heavy. Let's just jump off and get it and see if we can see... Because I'm looking for picks. I'm looking for my pickaxe. That's what I want. I am going to go back down and try and find the pickaxe. There's some bread. I mean, how has it all got quite this bad? This is a very silly jump to attempt. I definitely can't make it. I do not know what's happening with the sound there. I don't know if that'll come through on the recording or not, but I just had a massive kind of sound glitch. Hopefully it does not come through on the recording. Those pickaxes are slightly too good not to at least check if they're on the floor down here, and they are. So, yeah. That's about the only thing of use down here, but it's worth coming back for, I think. As much as I love using unenchanted stone tools, our free enchanted iron ones will probably do a better job. Yeah, so 3 deaths. Both of them today were pretty avoidable, but hey. I mean, all 3 so far have been avoidable, and I don't want any in the map that are unavoidable, really. So, it is what it is, I suppose. I don't know why I bridged that rather than just running around. It's really not any faster, but hey. I wanted my pickaxe in the 5 minutes that I had available. And this should now be the end of the area, which will therefore be pretty close to the end of the episode. It's again a decently long one, and this hallway is so my favourite Minecraft YouTuber is Etho, and he's got an underground section which isn't really like this, but it does have these bricks in it, and yeah, so I was sort of inspired by this bricks and vines. So yeah, that's sort of what inspired this hallway, because it was just a bland 3x3, and there's nothing else in here now, but it is still a bland 3x3 that's overly long. But now it's got a bit more to it, and you can see. Nope, that data pack doesn't work. Oh well. You're meant to have I planned for you to have speed in this monument area, but it really doesn't matter. Optional objectives. So there's one hidden amongst the jaws of victory, and the 13th is inside the Flight Rock Forest. So if you are hunting the emeralds, there is one in this area. And what is this area? This is the victory area. So very green grass. Might make you think jungle biome, but it's actually a mushroom biome. So no mobs can spawn here. Not that it matters with natural spawns off, but if you're playing on expert mode, it will also be safe. And yeah, this is the victory area. So I'm going to brave the lag and pump up the render distance somewhat. So I built this in a phase when I wasn't really enjoying making I wasn't mapping, I wasn't playing Minecraft a huge amount, and I just needed some stress relief. So I started building this area, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it was very stress relieving, but it's impractically large for the amount of content in it. However, I do think it looks nice, especially for when I made it. I think I made it back in 2016 probably. So, you know, maps, I don't know if Ragecraft 3 was out then, it probably was. So that set a very high standard, but not every map looked amazing back then. And having this kind of big landscape and these trees, which are worse than things I would build now, but still, you know, have some character, I think. These ships were made by the Adrian Brightmore filter Armada, I think is the name of the filter. So it's an empty edit filter that produces ships, and I use a few of them throughout the map. He makes a lot of really useful filters. There's one called Rotate I also used for some things. So there's a shipwreck down here, and I'll get to these teleport pads as well in a moment. But there's a shipwreck down here. Let's go and see it quickly, I suppose. And this shipwreck was an Armada ship that I then rotated and kind of tipped over to make this. You really do not have very long-lasting breath in Minecraft. I do thankfully have a respiration helmet though. Oh, I forget how slowly it regenerates now as well. I'm still playing Minecraft beta in my mind, I think. But yeah, you can sort of see the shipwreck, which I think is a cool effect. Right, so this is the victory area. There's some farms and stuff, which I'll head up and look at very quickly, and then end the episode there. Yeah, in kind of thinking about Pink and what I could do better next time, I think prisons and dungeons have been done quite a lot in CTM maps, and they've been done in more varied and interesting ways than that one. But I think the actual cavern and the caves with the optional caves and the underwater area and everything, I think it's a good area. I just think the dungeon, the actual wool dungeon, could be improved somewhat. But you know, we make areas and we make decisions, and then you look back at them, and just because you're wanting to learn from stuff doesn't mean you want to change everything. So yeah. Anyway. So these are just little teleporter pads that will warp you around the place. Some people wanted to know exactly where each one goes, but I mean, they just go back and forth. There's only 3 of them, 3 pairs, so they just go back and forth between each other. And this is the sort of thing where I just want the player to like explore to find that out, and learn, rather than. I shouldn't waste torches here really, but hey, yeah. And I wanted the player to find that out for themselves by like jumping on them and seeing where they go. Although I did see in BSM's playthrough, I think maybe KVT, he stepped on one of these pressure plates, teleported, and it dropped him through a floor and killed him. That is not on my end. I think that's a Minecraft multiplayer issue, because I have tested these all, and they all do take you to the right place. So this one takes you up to the ship where the monument was originally planned to be, and probably, you know, I could have put the monument in here. Some people thought I should get rid of the end, but I quite like having the end. I think I like the end monument more than I would possibly like it here. I think this makes a good place to make a base as well, and there's a pre-built base of sorts up there if you wanted to use that one. I guess we'll end the episode then by placing the 3 wool that we have. Where's number 3? There. Somehow managed to lose it, but yeah, let's go and place the 3 wool. I do like taking damage when I enter the end. I don't know why that happened. And we still only have 2 emeralds. I'm actively avoiding them because I don't want to show off where they are and spoil it for people. But I will probably do a fly through right at the end of the map and show exactly where all the emeralds are for anyone curious. Yeah, so the correct way to do these is technically yellow, lime, and then pink. But I very much kind of planned you to do it either yellow first or lime first. So yeah, annoyingly I think I threw away the white glass, but I've been keeping the other ones in here. And yeah, that is going to be it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. And I forgot to sleep in the monument area, so now I'm back in section 2. Oh well. Bye-bye.